Round of applause. So everybody, welcome. As you know, we're here every Monday, Speak Up Monday here at Tropical Nomad. And today is episode 382, which is a lot of episodes. Every week we don't miss. We keep going. We'll never stop. So it's going to be like episode number 1,000. Can't wait for that. Probably going to have more hair. So, because the health is great, right? So tonight, as you know, the first Monday of every month is all about health. So we have a wonderful collaboration with my sister, Tracey G from Health Hub Bali. And as you know, Health Hub Bali is an incredible platform. It's a health tourism initiative that we will go into a little bit more deeply. My name is Ian Bonnick, otherwise known as the Partnerships and Tourism Architect. What does that mean? It means I'm a bridge between foreign investment, government, and private enterprise, right? Okay, so let's get tonight's episode started. So for those of you who've been watching, this is number 17 in our once-a-month series about health. And it's, Tracey will in a minute maybe give us a bit of a deep dive into what you've missed. But just remember that the last 202 episodes you can find on the Speak Up Monday library. So you go to YouTube, type in Speak Up Monday, and you'll get to that library, and you can watch all of these episodes recorded beautifully, the clean copy of YouTube. So tonight is all about empowered health. It is part 2 in our series, which we're going to get into a little bit more deeply in a moment. But I think a great start would be for each of our wonderful, illustrious guests to introduce themselves so you get an idea of them and probably why they're here, and then we'll get to the topic at hand. So we'll start with our brother Kai, who just informed me this is his 5th appearance on Speak Up Monday, which may come back for number 6 real soon. But Kai, maybe get us started, give us a little 1-2 minute intro into you, and we can move on from there.
All right, thanks, Rob. Thanks, Trace, for having me. My name is Kai Jordan, and I worked in the field of kind of holistic health and transformational coaching for the last 12 years. In that time, I've seen a lot of different things and studied a lot of different ways to approach health. And my journey has been, at a young age, having a trauma with medical professionals and having to heal that and needing to find the answers from within, not trusting the medical system. So I source a lot of my knowledge and wisdom from my experience. I've done over 7,000 one-to-one sessions, so I am more of a researcher at this point than a practitioner. I like to break things apart and put them back together and see how they work. So I'll be sharing my perspective from that level of experience.
Thank you, and thanks, Kai. And then Robyn, up to you.
Hi, thank you, Tracy and Rob, and hello to everyone here tonight. My name is Robyn, and I work specifically with women's hormones. And I know that's not very common, but I'll make it even more not common. I work specifically with women in midlife who are going through perimenopause and menopause. So it's quite a different approach to the health industry, because a lot of women are faced with a stigma. Speaking about it, talking about our reproductive health, even talking about our period. So it's still something that we are exploring in this day and age, and I'm really about educating women, not just on a level where we talk about the science and the biochemistry of their hormones, but more importantly, utilizing modern medicine along with spiritual and holistic practices. And I think that's where we can actually bridge the gap of what's missing in our health as women. So I'm really excited to share a lot of the things that we're going through, and not only for women, because a lot of this is also affecting men, right? Right? So men
Absolutely.
are gonna, like, my partner is like, he knows so much about hormones, and he actually helps his friends, like, oh, your girlfriend is going through that? Well, maybe her estrogen is low. So it's wonderful to share education, because then we get to really understand what is happening, not just with the physical, but also the mental and emotional relationship and the interplay of how hormones affect the mind, body, soul.
Beautiful. So she has her own mic. Thank you, Robyn. Beautiful introduction. So Frika, over to you, darling.
Hi everyone. Hi. Wow. Thank you, Rob and Tracey, for this opportunity. I think this is also my second SpeakuP Monday. Wow. Good to be here. My name is Frika, and I am a mother of two who, like Kai, taken my health back to the power of health to me, back to me. I don't want to give it away to anyone, to any modern medicine. So I start from there. It was from the diagnosis in the family about cancer, stroke, and that's when the research began. And then from there, I become a health coach, health and nutrition coach, and I dive deep more into the mindset on questioning my thought, questioning my belief. And from there, I had a lot of turnarounds, learn a lot also about detox, the importance of the releasing stuff, letting go, not holding on to things. And from there, then you add more knowledge, right? But bringing the power back to me. So I don't think I have any identity or title to label that, so that's me.
Frika, if you leave the microphone with Frika for a second, but you have a business, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So talk about that a little bit, yeah.
I've just opened up this Korea skin detox. So it's more with the scrub, where it's, we're releasing, we don't do anything, we are actually, just like here, we actually gain a lot of things, right? Where we take things, but without us even knowing. So I came from the detox, from the gut detox before. And then from doing like the detoxing, you kind of like have to release things, where it's usually through urine, through sweat, right? And also through the skin. Skin is the largest organ, yeah, the largest organ of your body. And when you want to release things, detox, you got to open it up. And so I use this method of skin exfoliations. I use the Korean scrub because you don't add any scrub or any products added. So you just like go to the steam or the sauna, and then you go to the room, and then you got it like scrub with a glove. So whatever come out of your skin is definitely your own dead skin, you know. So when that happens, a lot of things get released. And you revitalize, you feel alive, you know, you feel alive. That. So yeah, thank you for asking that, because I'm quite passionate about detoxing and about releasing things and not to hold to things. Yeah.
Welcome, Frika. Thank you. And you just come off of a
retreat.
A retreat, so she's just coming back to earth.
It's actually still ongoing right now.
Still going.
It's ongoing. It's a press pause. I call it press pause, where I'm still a bit like the way I talk, because in the last, we're on day 3, and we love silence. And we have been like practicing silence, and when on silence. Now I just arrived. I'm like, what?
Who here is, just out of interest, straw poll, has been to a Vipassana retreat or some retreat where they're not allowed to speak for a little while? Anyone? Yeah. So the ones that got their hands up know what she's going through. It's like you have to learn how to speak again, right? So it's okay, Frika. It's a talk show, but we won't ask you to talk too much. So if you pass that to Tracey. So Tracey, maybe people know you, but for those, again, who don't, if you can give us a little background into you. Yeah, we just unhook that. Yeah, over to you.
That? Okay. Yeah. So before we start, I'd just like to say with Frika, what the subject tonight that we're covering is empowered health, about you owning your own health. And the other aspect of it is also the journey of healing and health. And why Frika's here is that her background is with the UN as an NGO in the islands and serving the people there. So she saw gaps also in what people needed. So that's the skill that she brings, and now she's doing a lot of work with Byron Katie's work that people can connect to themselves. The same with Kai, we have here tonight. And he has a ton of modalities behind him to understand the functions of the body first, and then exploring the other emotional sides and the relational sides and connections to healing. And that's why he's got that understanding. And we have Robyn with hormones. And if we're going to talk cancer, the ones that affect most of the people these days, a decade ago, were the hormone-driven cancers for males was in the prostate, and the women in the breast. And we're going thoughts, feelings and emotions that are running these. So we'll uncover some of these subjects today. But what Health Hub is, I'm here a decade. My name's Tracey G. I'm from Australia originally. I have a functional medicine background. But what we're doing is Health Hub. It's a platform to connect people to better health. We are showcasing what Bali has to offer. And we're talking about pure Bali, putting the Bali back into Bali, working with the private-owned hospitals here, the Balinese-owned, and the OSADA from the professors and the university, putting the science behind this. We're working with the Indonesian health, medical tourism, and then we have the expats here from all countries around the world. In recent times, many are going back to their countries and setting up retreats in their way, but the idea of Health Hub is to connect people, wherever they're from, to a way that they can empower their health. They'll know who to go to, what testing they get, etc., which we'll talk about more now.
Yeah. And then just to add to what Tracey said, for those of you wondering what is Health Hub Bali, what does it do, why is it here, and all the rest of that. So I think for the last 10 years or more, Tracey's been working on it. And I guess the three things that I draw attention to is that number one, it's an informational layer. So the dissemination of information from experts to you. So Tracey sits on a call once every period, it might be a month, might be more, of some of the most eminent health professionals in the world. And that information comes straight from them to you. So one is that. The second part is through health coaches. If you come into this Health Hub ecosystem, then there's measurement devices, could be thermography, that basically you get a good idea, a good understanding of what's happening in your body. Individually, we're all different, right? So from that point, then you're prescribed like a health journey for you, which is individualized to you. It may be seeing one of these wonderful people here or others, right? In that network of that Health Hub practitioner network. So that's the second part. Then the third part is more about, the word is coming, it is more about certification. So it's how do we ensure that the practitioners who are part of this amazing network are absolutely on point and know exactly what they're doing and know exactly how to measure the devices and prescribe the right treatments for you. Right? So that's three aspects. There's more. As Tracey mentioned, working with various government departments as well. So since the 17 months ago when we started this, much has been happening with Health Hub, which is great to see. And you can make sure that if you want to know more or go deeper, they often hold these health markets or one-on-one sessions or meet professionals like this at Health Hub Bali, which is here in Bali. So Pantai Pereira Nan, if you know where Monsieur Spoon is, right towards the end, opposite that is Health Hub Bali. So feel free to drop in any time. You'll see Tracey or one of the wonderful practitioners which are also there. So let's move on with today's episode. So I think just the first question to get us started, part one was a month ago. And that first question, which I think is valid to ask again because there's different guests here today, is what is empowered health? What does that mean to you? And maybe we'll start with you again, Kai, and then we'll go to Frika afterwards.
Yeah. I was actually just talking to a client the other day, and what came up was the idea that you create your own disease, and you can also create your own health, right? Nobody's making your choices but you. You're going around, you're eating the kinds of foods, you're thinking what you're thinking, which cause certain chemical reactions in your body. If you're keeping yourself in certain emotional states, you're causing stress for the system. You're either exercising or not. Like, you're creating your own disease. I think that's the first thing people have to understand, is that where did this disease come from? It came from me. And I think when people make the change, they somehow see the cause of their illness or their ailment or their disease. They identify it within themselves, and that leads them to understanding, what do I need to do in order to get back on track? Right? Is it something in my diet? Is it something in my lifestyle? Is it something in my relationships? Am I killing myself at work and I can't bear the pressure? Like, what's really out of sync? What's out of balance? What's diseased? So once we realize I'm the one creating my own ailment, I also need to be the one to create my own health. Instead of looking at someone else to fix the problem, we have a responsibility. So we're not just looking at the other person who's an expert. We're thinking, how do I become the expert in my own health? I'm going to go get multiple opinions. I'm going to go see what modalities are needed. I'm going to be in charge of my own health. When we give away our health to someone outside of ourselves, then we don't have the power to change it. So this is what we've done, unfortunately, with the medical system. We've given them responsibility for our actions, our daily choices, and they're not doing a very good job of taking that responsibility because they only have limited means. They can't change our behaviors. They can't change what we're doing that's causing it. They can only work on the symptom. They can give us something to try and balance out the stress. They can give us something to try and, maybe nowadays they're helping a little bit with diet, but they're not educated well enough to do that. So they can help give us direction from their expertise, which is medicine, not health. Medicine is different than health. Medicine is the expertise of understanding how to use chemicals to try and balance the body. But health is something else. It's a different study. And I think everyone has to be in charge of that study. They have to take personal responsibility for their own health. And we don't see that in school systems. We don't see that in the homes. We don't see people role modeling that. So this is where a lot of the issue comes from, I believe.
You know, Kai, what we love to do, because it can be sometimes difficult for people to relate, even though that in a court of truth, I think everyone resonates with it. It's like, that's a good point. But to help them further, maybe if you can come up with one example of what you said, so of a person realizing that they created their own disease, how they recognized it, what they did, and what was the outcome.
I'll speak to the insight that I had, that I was in Bali. I had moved here after living my life in Canada 28 years, and I'd moved to Bali. And I had been on my own healing journey from that trauma that I had experienced as a child. And I was noticing mental and emotional imbalances, so suffering and just kind of feeling waves of emotions that would be triggered by certain triggers that were related to that event, etc. I was sitting one day just looking out my backyard to the water. We had a river in the back. I was sitting there, and out of nowhere, I'm just calm, I'm relaxed, I'm not thinking about anything, and I hear this voice, "You're the only person who can heal you." It was like it wasn't my own voice, it was just an insight that happened from within. You're the only person that can heal you. And I realized in that moment, I've been going around the world looking for people who can heal me, and here I have inside of me the thing that they're going to tap into, which is when I cut myself, there's something inside of me that heals me. So how can anything outside of us be the source of our own healing? I understood. And we talk about this a lot in holistic health. We say, you're born with the power to heal. You have inside of you an intelligence that can heal your body. But we're not taught how to tap into that. That's the gap, right? That's what empowered health is. It's closing that gap. How do we tap into the innate healing system in our own body? And there are many modalities, but what I understood by studying them all and studying many different philosophies is that there's only one thing that occurs when a modality works. That system inside of your body became active. That innate healing system got triggered somehow, and your body started correcting what was not working. And there are many pathways to that. That's why with Health Hub, there needs to be a treatment protocol, because there's a sequence. We're an ecosystem. There's 11 different systems here. There's a circulatory system, immune system, there's a skeletal system, respiratory system. They're all interconnected and interdependent. And there's a sequence of order that they need to be adjusted. I would see a lot of times with people would come in with chronic headaches. And in Body Talk, which is one of the modalities I used, we muscle check to see what's the priority. So we don't say, okay, you have a headache, must be skeletal, must be muscular. We say, what's the priority? And I remember specifically one time, it was this person's left ankle. And there was a scar down on that person's ankle. And I was guided to do a release on the tissue. I released it, he had an emotional release, and the headache went away. The interconnectedness of the body. We can break it down in our minds. We can say this is your finger and that's your arm, but it's all the same thing. It's all interconnected. There's no distinguishing different parts. So how you think, how you feel, what you eat, how you behave, your actions in the day, this all contributes to either your dis-ease or your health.
You know, just before we go on to you, Robyn, just one thing, Guzman had us just keep an eye on that other camera there to make sure it's not freezing. Those of you watching, remember it's also on YouTube Live, so go to SpeakuP Monday, you'll find it on YouTube as well as Facebook. So one thing, I think it was Dr. Lorena Law, and Tracey, you can help me if it wasn't her, I think it was. And so she was talking about, you know, the treatment of cancers. And one thing that just stuck with me was that this, for example, the colon, right? When she noted and detected colon cancer in people, what she traced it back to, again, over many years of doing this, was, for example, the colon, it was letting go. So the patient in front of her was not letting go of something. And that thought then entered the body, and how it was represented was in this colon cancer. And it just hit me. I was like, whoa, you know. And then she was able to trace, depending where the cancer forms in the body, to what is going on with the thoughts. This one is failure to let go. This one is failure to take responsibility. This one is, and it blew my mind, you know. So that's what that's what it reminds me of. But Robyn, yeah.
I'll just speak to that really quick. So this is the body psychology, or the consciousness of the body. A very simple way to know the consciousness of the body is to look at the function. So, for example, you take any organ, the heart. What does it do? It circulates blood. It connects all of the tissues. So it gives and receives. It oxygenates, it breathes life into. So you look at the function of the organ, it's the consciousness. So the colon is supposed to take the water out and actually expel. You look at the function, it is the consciousness. And then you can start to understand your own health that way. Yeah.
That is good.
That is great.
I got some goosebumps there. Thank you. Great insight.
Yeah. Beautiful insight. Okay, empowered health. Now, for women, one of the things with women, and I'm going to be very specific, and this is great education for men, so you can understand your girlfriend, partner, wife more, and probably have a better relationship, right? When women have periods monthly, there is a completely different universe that's happening in a woman's body. And, you know, some men will say, oh, it's just your hormones. But trust me, it is really our hormones. And I was completely uneducated about this before until I started educating myself, when I decided to take an empowered step to my health. And if we're talking about empowered health, as a practitioner and as a woman, it's important to be educated about body functions. What is your body doing? And how can I actually work with my body and not against it? And one of the reasons why women nowadays have a lot of reproductive ailments is not just because of our diet. That's huge. Our diet, high carb diet, Rob, and, you know, unfortunately going through contraceptive pills, that doesn't actually really help sometimes. But more so, again, we go back to what Kai and Frika is saying, is also our mindset. How do we actually look at our reproductive system? How do we look at our, I'm going to say it, vagina? How do we look at our womb? And what is our relationship with that part of ourselves? And unfortunately, again, because of the history and the way we have been conditioned, looking at our female anatomy has been through shame and honestly taboo. So there is a huge disconnection of the body, of our own body, and the lack of information. So empowered health is educating yourself, but not just reading books. It's also about taking the initiative and having the self-reliance to check, are these resources from, a reliable source? And of course, if you have endometriosis, you have PCOS, and there are many beautiful, again, modalities that we're going to be discussing here, both the Eastern medicine and then we've got Western medicine. I love both. I love functional medicine. I love functional nutrition. That's my background, and Ayurveda. And for me, it's not really about just using one. If a woman needs testing and she needs to have blood work done, she needs to get her hormone levels checked, I am for that. It's better to know than to guess. And these are proper baseline, and I believe that there are things in our body that needs these facts, right? And to go in that direction of having these baselines and these blood tests and these hormone levels checked is needed. You cannot guess your way also to health. And no amount of, I was saying this to one of my clients, no amount of chakra belly dancing for our sacrum is going to alleviate candida, right? So I think having the balanced mindset of knowing that science has gone so much, right? We've developed it into AI now, where you can actually have a surgery online. And also the ancient technology of Eastern medicine, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, which is, so advanced for its time. So for me, using both and using the tools that is necessary. And again, I've also seen some clients that Ayurveda works and acupuncture works, and sometimes medicine, traditional medicine works. So what can we really say about empowered health? It is very dependent on your personal belief. So by empowering yourself to be able to know that self-love is important, that journey of like, I have a problem, I'm going through trauma, I'm feeling maybe a disharmony in my reproductive system, to acknowledge that and to take proper, the proper route for finding out what education I need, and to go to the proper resource, which doctors, which practitioners are going to support me, who I actually also feel at home with. It's hard to work with a practitioner where you feel like you can't trust the person, or there is like this you don't have a connection. So those are some aspects of empowered health. And also, one more thing is energy. So when we say empowered health, some of us think, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a 21-day cleanse. So what does that mean? You're going to be giving energy into that 21 days. But empowered health is not just looking at energy as an expenditure. It's also about, when I'm doing something, am I actually receiving more? Am I nurturing my body more? Am I nurturing my womb more? Am I feeling much better? So when we look at empowered health, make sure that you're not just focused on expending the energy in your health, but you're receiving tenfold more, because you're going to need that. And that is going to be your journey to focusing in complete alignment with what your health goals are.
Beautiful, Robyn. Thank you very much. So Frika, feel free, Frika. I know you're coming off this.
Yes. Well,
you can just say, if there's one thing that sticks out, you can go with one.
Yeah, with empowered health, what does that mean to me? I'm Indonesian, and I go to Indonesian island from my previous work, where I would see a lot of actually women, more women, because giving the power away. Okay, and it's really usually to doctors when they are diagnosed of something, and then it will be like, oh, when we see the doctor, these people who are in the white suit, we have to listen. It's like, because they are more educated, they are being seen that way, right? So whatever they prescribe, stake, right? So this is, that's the view, that's the belief. That's the belief that that's been there for a long time. And this is also, it happened to me also before, it happened to my family also. And I work in the empowerment, and it was a women empowerment before when I was working with the NGO and the UN. And this is, it's so lucky and grateful that I could bring this into my health journey now, because then now I can see that I don't want to give this power away to anyone. But instead, I know that I can actually do something, research on something. And I start with, for me, the mindset. Actually questioning my belief. Because there was this belief before that doctors knows everything. Doctors will cure me. This medicine will cure me. Or example, cancer, if you know cancer. So cancer, what's next? Chemotherapy. For example, yeah, just an example. That's the belief. Then you will be cured. Is that true? Right? So it's just that first question. Just question that belief. So I dive into this, just questioning that belief and then seeing it from different perspective, and that actually released me from holding on to that belief that really make me feel powerless. And from there, do research. There are a lot of resources. Once you are open, once you release and you're open, you're kind of like, oh, there's something there. Oh, there's these modalities. There's this, that. And you start to try. It might work for you. It might not work. So this is what works for you might not work for me. What for me might not work for you. But you have to try. But when you're open to try and then see it works, at least you are not just like on that one system of that belief of that tablets or pills, right? Because there are still so many out there.
Thank you very much. So Tracey, pass the mic over there. What's coming up for you? And then we'll go into those 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah. So what happens with this as a rule is that power being given away. So what we're saying now, it's your body, why are you actually going to these experts? You need some answers. They've had the years and the experience, and they know about this. So what are the questions you're asking them? You're not well? Why aren't you well? Then find out why. Then it may require testing. That's why we start with the medicine, we do the testing, get the diagnosis, what's causing it, and then what options there are. The minute we've got a choice, then the fear comes out, because the biggest thing with disease, or say diagnosis, is the fear. And then the healing, if we want to go into health, the healing mechanism shuts down because we've got what they call the sympathetic nervous system just driving whatever's happening. And the other thing is that it wasn't there yesterday. It's been there probably for 10 years or so. So with this giving our power away, it's getting baselines, watching things through life, asking the questions, and then getting options and choices. Yeah.
Wonderful. So Tracey, let's go on to the next question that you'd like to pose to the panel. And what I would probably say, because this is a great topic, and so I know that everyone here has lots of information, lots of examples, but maybe choose one, then we can get through a little bit more. So over to you.
Yep. From memory, it was the journey of health. What is the journey of health? And I think in some aspects it's been touched on. But what we're getting with Health Hub, it's based on functional medicine. It's whole health. So from that space, we're looking at why. Yeah, we're looking at why. What is the journey of health then to healing?
The journey to healing. What is the journey to healing? Could I say that to the openness? Yeah. Right? Yeah, it's like to that openness.
The health journey step by step.
Yeah. When you were, just now, like when you were diagnosed and you identify with this sickness or that disease, and I would question them. First, questioning my belief system, the thought, and from there, I used the work of Byron Katie, of that forced questions, and looking into that turnaround. And what else?
You've got detox.
Oh, the detox. Yes. Sorry. With the detoxing. So I learned from that. Then I start to study, right? I start study, and then I do the detox. I will start with the detoxing, the digestive system, because, release. There are a lot of toxin. There are a lot of shit, really, in your body. And you kind of like, really, you got to release it. You don't hold on to things that it's not good for you anymore. You got to release. So into the detox. And the detox also got to try to find the one that's, works for you. Works for you.
Yeah. So what you're saying, just to get it down, is that so your journey to health would involve, for example, that Byron Katie method is about the mind.
Yeah.
Right. Asking your question: is it true?
Questioning your thoughts.
Questioning your thoughts.
Yeah.
The next thing is you go to the body.
Yeah.
Which is the detox.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there a third step? Or is that, remember, this is not about what works for others, it's what works for you. If there's two steps is good.
I really, really see this as a holistic thing, like where the emotional part, we also have to, this emotional health is really important, because after that, all that layers, from the physical to the mental layers, then there will be the emotional layers, then start to come up. Because then you're already touching the things, and you just go even deeper and deeper, and you go to that spiritual layers, how you relate to others, and how, right? And to that energetical layer. What we want in life is to have energy, isn't it? Do you feel like when you're like no energy, like tired, exhausted, stressed? So energy, that's what we want to, you were talking about that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we go to Robyn next. Yeah, she's got the microphone there. And the question is, what is your journey to health, right?
Okay.
Step by
Okay.
step.
So first, for women's hormones, and it's going to sound counterintuitive, but when you heal your hormone health, and this is not just probably women, it also goes for men, it's actually going to be the very last we'll see. So when you're healing your hormones for women, it's not just, I'm going to heal my ovaries. No, it actually begins, guess where? Rob, do you have an idea?
No, in the mind. In the mind.
It could be. But if we're talking physical, where do you think? Anybody? It's the gut. And I know it sounds, what? The gut has something to do with my hormones? Absolutely, yes. And there's a whole universe again, a whole solar system on our gut microbiome and how it affects the endocrine system. And there's so many studies, and I think Zach Bush was here, and he was talking about this in one of the festivals in Bali, and I could not agree more to all the things he's saying about our gut health. And one of the aspects to gut health is, when you think about it, health, empowered health, and the journey to healing should be very simple. And I said this in one of my women's circle, how we sometimes perceive health and the healing journey as a struggle, as something that I don't want to do it. Oh, I have to go do fasting again. Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to eat this kind of, 3-day juice. It's not a joy. How can we possibly heal if we don't look at our health journey without joy? So for me, as what Frika is saying here, there's a lot of self-inquiry. There's also that mindset. But I don't think we can just compartmentalize one aspect of healing. We have to do it, as what Tracey says, WHOLE, whole, and holistic with the W as well. We can't just focus on, I'm just going to focus on my diet and my hormones are going to be, I'm going to be like pumping out estrogen and progesterone. I'm going to look like I'm 21 again. No. Right?
No?
No,
Are you
unfortunately,
sure?
Rob. And even men.
I've been trying.
And even men, you could be taking all this maca root powder and tongkat ali thinking, yeah, I'm going to pump up. No. It's not just ingesting supplements, men and women. It is what we are doing to our body, mind, and soul. So if we want hormone health, we have to look at what we are ingesting in our body, what we are putting on our body, especially women who have high levels of estrogen. There's such a thing called as estrogen dominance. And then you have to check your levels. What's causing my high levels of estrogen? Unfortunately, we live in an estro-driven society. And when I say that, it's not women ruling the world. No. It's more of like we step out of our house, there's xenoestrogens proliferating the air we're breathing. So there's so many aspects to the healing journey, but the basics that I recommend as a practitioner is look into your gut microbiome. Start and encourage children now. If you have kids, let them get dirty. Let them, roll in the mud and play with the earth. Because the earth and the mud and the soil has a diversity of microbes. So your gut health is important. Once your gut health is okay, then we combine it with your liver. And the liver, oh my God, it is my favorite organ. I love all my organs, but the liver, I really look at it like, wow, you are amazing, because it's doing so much every day. And what do? We don't appreciate it. Everything we're eating, it's metabolizing and it's packaging things, toxins. It's like it's wrapping it up in a gift. Is this okay to deliver it safely out of the body? And one more thing that I want to say, Rob, about all these detox programs. That's you can buy it now online. You can do your own 3-day detox. But how safe is it? There are many detox programs that are not safe for us human beings. Meaning, it's very invasive. It's too fast. So your body cannot. I'm taking all these supplements, but is my liver actually ready to take out all of these metabolites? So I recommend if you do a detox program, always go slow. You don't need to rush. And I like to teach women to make detox a part of your life, where you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to fly out and do a detox program. You can add these things in your lifestyle every day, Rob, and that is being empowered. You take your health back, you're knowledgeable. You know what? That detox program isn't for me, and I'm not going to spend $10,000 on it because I can do it myself at home. Garlic is great, right? You've got garlic, you got your B complex, which is great, but B complex, you can actually get that in nutritional yeast, right? It's readily available. It's way better than B complex. So there's so many things that you can do. And always just remember, it's the gut microbiome, everything from under the rib to excretion is important to get your hormones back in shape. And again, not just hormones. When you fix your gut, you're fixing a myriad of symptoms. Headaches, migraines, eczema, acne, you name it, it'll heal it. So the gut is so important. I cannot stress this enough. So everybody, let's learn to take our probiotics. Let's start eating fermented foods. Let's start eating our prebiotic foods. You've got leeks, you've got onions, you've got garlic, all this stuff that stinks, but actually is very effective, right? So so those are some of the ways you can navigate your healing journey. And I could go on and on,
I
but
know you can,
I'll stop
Robyn.
here.
I know you can. Well, each time we do the panel, there's always one or two, or sometimes 4 if you're lucky, that can talk forever. I'm one of them, by the way. I'll put my hand up.
I know you're holding back.
But it's so interesting, right? What you've said. And, we had a guy, Tyler Tolman. People here kind of know him. He's like one of the gurus of the detox. And that was a great show too, because he was saying, that a lot of people, they take this knowledge of, hey, detox is really good for you. And they go and they go, I'm going to do a detox without checking their baselines first. And for him, it was like, no, I use science. I use the testing. I find out where your body is to see if you are stable enough.
Yes.
to do this sort of detox or that sort of detox or that. So all of that testing happens first. And then comes the actual detox. And so that was another wake-up call for me as well. Like, okay, then maybe I shouldn't run out now and buy the 7-day detox, right? 7 days, drink water, nothing. I can do that, water fast,
Don't
you know?
eat, don't eat.
No, you know, so if you're watching this show, if there's a few things that you take, what Robyn just said is amazing. Like, do it right. Right? Do it right. Don't do it by yourself thinking, I'll be all right. You know, don't. Just get the right help. And get the right person. And in Bali, there are quite a few. Go to Health Hub. Tracey can hook you up with everyone there. So one thing I just want to quickly check. Guzman, how are we doing with that phone? Is it still going? Yep, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thought quickly check that. So, Kai, over to you. So we're talking about now the journey to health, right? And kind of break it down into steps in a way that people can listen and say, hey, okay, that's something I can take away with me.
Yeah, as I was hearing everyone else talk, I was hearing also the person who's going through the healing journey as well. It always starts with a crisis. You see this person, they have a crisis, and something changes. Their awareness wakes up, and they go, I need to do something. That's the first part of the journey, is an inner crisis. In terms of how I approach it, my approach... this is something that's really interesting that I think is genius about the body talk system. I don't see it implemented enough in other healthcare systems, but is a priority-based method. So there's something called the Descartes model, which is that the body can be split up into different pieces. Like there's a knee doctor now that specializes in the knee. At some point, maybe we'll have a right knee and a left knee doctor, and we'll go down that path of super dissection. But at the end of the day, what we have to understand is that the body is an ecosystem. It is interconnected. So there is a certain priority. And I don't know what that is until I work with priority. And we learn how to do applied kinesiology, which is asking the body for different feedback in order to understand what's the priority. A priority is, okay, someone's coming for healing. So they come in and they want an assessment, but they're in an abusive relationship and they're in fight or flight every day. So how are you going to heal that person? How are you're going to take them out of fight or flight when they need to be in their relationship? That's a circumstance that they have to be in that state. So we have to understand what's the priority. In other words, what is necessary? What's the first step that a person needs to take to move towards a healthy baseline? And it's different for everyone. And that's why we don't have a one-size-fits-all model. We have a priority-based model. I think that's very important to understand that exists because it's not talked about much. I didn't know about it until I studied body talk, but it exists. And you can approach your own health in a very specific way because your disease is also a very specific sequence of events, a breakdown, right? So there's a sequence of health as well. There's a sequence of treatment. Beyond that, how I look at it is the nervous system itself, when that's in a state of flux, there's only so much stress it can handle before it starts shutting things down. And that's the master control switch. So when you're in a prolonged state of fight or flight, your communication from your brain to your organs, they don't work as well. And you're not digesting. Even if you have great food, your body doesn't know how to necessarily digest it. It's like you're putting in great nutrients, but your brain is not able to fire certain sequences in the digestive system, so you're losing a lot of nutrients. When the nervous system breaks down, this is something, if you want to look into Dr. John A. Sarno's work as psychosomatic medicine, but in the autonomic nervous system, if there is disturbances or fluctuations in energy, it can cause any kind of ailment or disease simply by a breakdown in communication. And when I look at how to approach health and what's the journey, I always look at resetting the nervous system first. Because if someone isn't in a baseline, if someone's in fight or flight, their natural healing mechanism is not accessible. Yep. So we can add things in, but if they can't maintain a baseline, and that also depends on their environment, which I have found relational environments to be the number one stressor for people, right? It's your work, it's your relationship. That's the main source of stress for most people. So if you're in an environment that's causing stress and you're coping, you're smoking, you're taking, alcohol in to cope with the immense stress that you don't know how to deal with on your own, you're just adding layers and layers and layers of dysfunction, dis-ease. And then eventually the system breaks down and you have a crisis. And you go to a doctor and they give you a tablet. Or they give you some chemical. You're already suffering from your own chemical factory. Your chemical factory is out of whack. You have a complex chemical factory. Every thought produces a chemical. So every emotion produces a chemical, right? The endocrines are very, very related to your emotional system. So I approach it from that perspective, looking at what is, and here's the interesting thing. So the body itself remembers everything. Good luck remembering 1% of your life. Your body remembers everything. And there is an energetic component to the body which is the energy of the memory of the body, that if you've had like in my case, I had a surgery at 2.5. In February this year, I had a spontaneous healing event where I remembered going into surgery. That information, that energy was still trapped in my body. When it came out, my legs that had been tight in certain areas, I tried stretching, tried different activities, different exercises for, those just released. That energy trapped in my nervous system was blocking my nervous system from communicating. As soon as I released that energy and integrated it, my nervous system could communicate and it was fine. And that's how down the channels you can create various ailments. And like we discussed, the consciousness of the body is the function of the body. So certain themes, if someone comes to me and I see where they have ailment, I can piece together what's going on in their life. Because you understand that this is all interconnected. The way that you think is how you feel, the way that you interact in your relationships, it's all, even people who have like broken ankles, something like that at a young, they're less flexible. Like that pivots your direction. So they may come in and say, I want to get out of this work. Okay, we have to work on your ankle. That's weird. You can't pivot your job because you broke your ankle and there's dysfunction there. Like the body has a certain intelligence. And when we don't have access to that part of our body, we also don't have access to that kind of intelligence.
Sitting here, for 17 episodes and listening to different experts in different fields, some professors and so on, is amazing because in each episode there's always something or some things that just hit you, right? And to the point where I have to go over and watch a show again because from this angle sometimes it's not easy to listen. Sounds crazy, but love it. Now, we'll get to you in a second, Frika. So one thing I'm really conscious of is that questions. So people have questions, right? So in the audience here today, if you have any questions about anything related to today's talk, feel free just to raise your hand. And then in doing so, we'll take the mic from Kai and we'll get it to you. So that's for the next 10, 15 minutes or so. Just feel free to raise that hand. So, Frika, you wanted to add something, and then what we'll do after that is we'll quickly do the 7 pillars of empowered health, and the last question. So, Frika, over to you.
Yeah. Also, I think as I'm a mom, right? I think to start like women, mom, and I think it's you can also start there, for health empowerment, because a lot of moms are the one who is putting food on the table. And actually, my turnaround also started when I have when I have my first child, and then I start to have this, whoa, I actually have a responsibility here on putting what's this first years of life, right? And so start when your mom or when your partner is like saying, hey, let's try this, or open up to like programs or like detox and nutrition, or eating your broccoli, and love them hard. It's love them hard, because it's a start of things, right?
Thank you, Frika. So, Tracey, you said very little tonight. That will make you happy. Tracey doesn't like to talk. She's like,
No, I do. I want to say something.
Tracey, let's hear from you.
Right, the step-by-step and the healing. So number one is that...
I'm helping you here.
Okay. Number one is that we talking about a few things here. That the wake-up call usually comes with some issue with health. Ideally, it would start with the mums and the way we grow up and we learn to live. In this day and age, we've got level 9 here in Bali, and that's the idea, is we have step-by-step. The entry point is to get your baselines and functions. If someone has a diagnosis, we stay with the doctor. We get the testing. The first indicators that we want to look at from that world is the inflammatory markers. So there's certain blood tests for this. We want to see if there's any pathogens. Is there a fungi, a mould, a parasite, or something that might be draining the immune system? Like I said, what is the 85% is driving is the emotional component. But the blocks that's happening in the body may have been there for 10 or 15 years, or generational. A food that maybe the whole lineage of the family may have been eating something wrong for, 600 years, because that's all they had in their area, and their cells, it's not okay for them. So then they keep having these certain diseases. So that's an Ayurvedic thing. But to reset and restore health, first we want to find out what's causing it. Why isn't the body functioning? Why it innately wants to come into what we call homeostatic, a self-regulating system where it can thrive and have energy. And why is that blocked? If we're blocking it ourselves, well, that's when we come into another conversation. From what we call the hard science world, say we could use Dr. Klinkhardt, who's a specialist through the world in heavy metals. He's got a hierarchy of things as well, and you cannot start healing something unless you get something else addressed. So there's a few ways that we look at indicators before we actually even get the blood testing and the testing work. Otherwise, we can spend a fortune on genetic work and that. So there's simple ways to do that, to get the baselines. We can do that from here in Bali, and then we can connect with doctors who are integrative. So we start functional, and then we integrate it, and then what tools to heal.
So, Tracey, staying with you...
It takes the fear out of it.
staying with you, takes the fear out of it is very important. 7 pillars of empowered health, right? Because we're running to time. Soon we'll be at time. So, the 7 pillars of empowered health was something that you mentioned. So, either all 7, or which one strike you as being the most important?
Empowered is knowing, take the fear out of it, understand what's happening. That's why baselines matter. And then have an action plan. Have experts that understand, that can guide you or navigate it. Have options. If you're told you haven't got an option, well, that's not okay. Because the body can heal. You cut, you heal. Something's happened. We want to find out why. Another one.
So we're talking about the 7 pillars of empowered health. Just take one and this one we'll do quickly.
Yep. Yeah. Understand your pattern. Know your pattern. So when you identify that, bring that awareness. If you have like that stress, okay, bring that awareness. What caused it? And this is then that pattern. Where does it go? So bring that awareness to yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll do mine very quickly. I developed something called the R.E.D Method, and this is particularly just for women going through perimenopause and menopause. So R.E.D Method is basically finding the root cause, creating a roadmap, having the proper education, and then energize the education and get the proper resources. Put in dedication, put in time, and you will get the desired results.
We'll go with that.
Love it. Yep, Trace.
That's
And
great.
that's the idea here in Bali, that we can have places and spaces that you can explore this and learn this as a habit in life. That was the last question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then how to own your own health and living was the last question. Yeah. So how to own your own health and living.
Yeah, practice it. Yeah,
Yep.
practice it.
Oh, once you know your tool, and then you apply it, you have to put it on your agenda, it's, for example, just a massage, for example. Okay, put it on your agenda. Every Monday, 4 p.m. I'm gonna have that massage. That's a tool, because massage itself, it relaxes you, not your right. And that's, you gotta just put it and live it as is, prioritize, because it's important, self-care. And you gotta have to press pause. Press pause once in a while. And put that also in your annual agenda. Every 1 year, like every annual, and I'm gonna go to this to a retreat or something for you, self-care. So just put that into the agenda, and then that's how you live, because things will just come. There's always new knowledge, new things, AI, whatever, but please, you first.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So exactly what Robyn was talking about before, that's the map, and they're the steps to that, and creating a life worth living, because often we don't know ourselves because we're so busy just being in survival mode in life, going from kindergarten to this stage of life to that. Here in Bali, it's about wake up and live and make conscious choices. And that's what these retreats, we call them intelligent retreats, that we can make a different impact, yeah.
So Robyn and Kai, yeah.
I'll make it short. Once we take ownership of our healing journey, the benefits of what I love is intentional living. Then you have a purpose. Then you have a reason. You wake up in the morning and you can't wait to get out and do the things you love. You can't wait to accomplish your health goals. So how do you do that? Micro steps. Don't overwhelm yourself thinking that you have to do so many things. And on top of that, you have to take care of your family. You have to be the father. You have to be the businessman. You have so many roles. But intentional living is when you can create a life that is in harmony by doing little things that become daily habits. And that changes everything, because then it is not just doing what the doctor, the practitioner, the coach says. It becomes part of you.
Yeah, I agree. What was the question again? What was the question?
Yeah.
How to empower your health?
Yeah. So basically, there were two that we integrated, but the one that was last was about healthy. How do you empower yourself for healthy living?
Yeah.
Health and living. Yeah.
I've seen this in multiple ways, is that I'm the only one left with the bill. Like, what I do is I'm the only one who has to pay the consequences. Most people aren't driven by possibility, they're driven by consequence. If you really see the motivating factors that move people, it's not, I want to be healthy, it's, I'm going to die. Like, that's the reality, is that people wait to the crisis. They look at the consequence. That's what drives most people. So in terms of how the mind works, tricking yourself to understand that you're the only one who pays the consequence. You're left with the bill. Everyone leaves you with the bill at the end of the day. So there's no other choice but to take care of your own health. And that's the first step. There's something that we teach in our relational work called child's needs versus adult needs. This is a little bit more complex, but I'll simplify it. A child has their needs anticipated and they're externally fulfilled. How many people are still waiting for someone to take care of them? Our nervous system is still stuck at certain neurological ages. We got stuck. We didn't grow beyond a certain point where we could take responsibility for our own lives. For people stuck in the child's needs mentality, it's very difficult for them to actually be empowered because they're still waiting for someone else to be the cause for the effect. They're not at cause. The child is not at cause. They're at effect. So when we can upgrade our awareness and resolve certain things in our nervous system, I call it emotional maturation, all of a sudden people begin to mature and they start to take responsibility for things that were in the child's needs mentality. And the adult needs mentality is simply, I'm the only one that's responsible for myself. And so if I need help, I have to ask for it. I have to find out what that is. I have to be the driver. I have to be at cause. If I'm sitting at effect and my health is, I'm going to die in 3 months, then the only way to get that turned around is to sit at cause. And again, that's a very different journey for every person. But at some point, we have to come back and say, this is my doing, and this will be my undoing.
Love it. And look, so Frika, if you could hand that mic to Tracey. So what we're going to do, we're going to begin to wrap up. And before we do that, I'll say a few things, but Tracey, I want to give you plenty of time. Plenty of time. Right? So the last closing words are going to be yours in about a minute or two. So just have a think of what it is you'd like to leave people with, okay? Or something that maybe you wanted to say, but maybe haven't got a chance to say it yet. So maybe one of those two or whatever comes in. So we'll get to that. So in the meantime, just want to say thank you to everybody for coming in person. It's always the best way to do these, right? Because then you have a chance to, with the health panels actually, I noticed that the questions are fewer than the other ones that we do because I think people are very self-conscious about having their whatever they're going through out in the public domain, which I understand, which is why I'm kind of hurrying to cut this one short to give you the opportunity to ask questions when the cameras are off, right? So outside of that, just want to thank Tropical Nomad. Today we have Hadis, we have Guzman, Ichi over there, of course. Ayu, get well soon. Thank you very much indeed. This is episode number 382. So, as you know, Speak Up Monday, I started it maybe 4.5 years ago or something like that. And it's number one for entrepreneurism and social impact. So even though this week is all about health, where we are is entrepreneurism and social impact. So keep an eye on our social media feeds. That's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, mainly Instagram's probably the most up-to-date, to give you an idea of what's happening next week and the weeks to come. That's one definite thing. We've just finished the AI conference. You mentioned AI before. We, through the funding, of which I'm a co-founder, just finished this AI conference last weekend. It was incredible. That was an experience. So we also deal with AI. We have an AI panel once every month. There's blockchain, there's sustainability, regeneration, and obviously straight entrepreneurism as well. So these are the topics that we cover. There's about 10 different areas that we cover, actually. So make sure you keep an eye on our feeds. And in the meantime, just want to remind you that this episode, the first Monday of every month, is Health Hub Bali. Sister Tracey G over here from Health Hub Bali. And remember, they often have, and just look at their Instagram, mainly I think is the best one, and obviously Facebook, Health Hub Bali, to let you know what's happening, whether they have a health market on, or whether they have a health talk on, where you can go one-on-one and deep dive with any number of practitioners, such as the wonderful ones that we have here tonight. Remember that. If you want to go and see them personally, then remember they're here in Bali, Pantai Perairan. So just the best way is that, most people know about Monsieur Spoon towards the end. So dead opposite that, you'll find Health Hub Bali, all right? So, Tracey, I'll let you thank your wonderful guests in a second. But yes, just to, again, want to say thanks, Tracey. This is number 17. Yeah. Amazing how far we've come in this whole time. And I really do encourage you to look into the YouTube library because we've been through a great deal. Tracey, over to you.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, so tonight we revisited empowered health, mainly from a practitioner's point of view. Last week was the mums and talking about with their children, so we could break it down step by step and from the different points of what empowered health really means. the next couple months, we're focused on vitality, biohacking, and the world of resetting everything. So we'll be looking at the science, but as every time, it's about the science, about the future of health. It's about being preventative, getting your baselines, and knowledge. Okay. Now, this week, what we started now also is on the Tuesday after this session, that's tomorrow at about 11 o'clock, there's a Zoom call for anybody with questions. Wherever they are in the world, they can Zoom in and they can get that and message through Instagram, Health Hub Bali. The other aspect is this Friday we have a guest from overseas who's a specialist in biophoton and light therapy, trained in different countries through the world from America and China, who has information to share. We're also looking at integrating this too into our health system here in Bali. So for those who'd like to know more about that, please just message. And apart from that, I'll say one more thing. The little breakup of all these little steps, we've already created a 7-part series of fundamentals which address the step-by-step. So that's also any inquiries too people can ask about that little mini course.
Wonderful. Round of applause. Thank you very much
Thank
indeed,
you.
everybody.